What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Oh, Lordy. So, I'm sure that goes without saying that this was quite disappointing news today. Oh my goodness. So WB's has kind of shown us once again that they just don't really know what in the hell they're doing. Yeah. I think that's fair to say. They don't know what the hell they're doing. This is crazy. They just canceled Ava DuVernay's New Gods, which is really that I'm going to talk about in a second. But they also canceled James Wan's The Trench. Got a couple articles here I'm going to break down, go through real quick, talk about it, give you my thoughts. But first, all right. A little bit of the edge off there. So, first article up here. And, it's crazy. The whole situation, the whole thing is so weird because just yesterday, I did a live stream with Ray Porter. We were talking about New Gods. We were talking about Dark Side. And, I reached out to Jeremy Kirby, Jack Kirby's grandson, asked him if he'd like to come on. And he comes in to the stream last night. This is the grandson of Jack Kirby, the creator of the New Gods, the creator of the Fourth World, the creator of Dark Side. Comes on, talks about how much he enjoyed Ray Porter's Dark Side performance. And, it was a good feeling. It was a great moment. It was an awesome moment to see that kind of praise. You rarely do you have the ability to that's like having one of Bob Kane's or Bill Finger's kids say thanks for playing Batman to you. That's a very gracious, very generous thing to do. It was freaking awesome. And we were just talking about the greatness and the scope of the New Gods world, their entire universe, the characters, the story arcs, the different directions you could take that, and that having Ray Porter's Dark Side kind of create such buzz around the New Gods because, make no mistake, Darkseid's performance in Justice League is a showstopper. His presence in the movie is a showstopper. I mean, I think that goes without question, right? His presence is felt, even though there's not a ton of them in there. Oh, it's I mean, the Mexican stare down that they have after Flash reverses time and Cyborg and Superman separate the boxes. That stare down after Steppenwolf gets his head cut off by Wonder Woman and goes rolling through the boom tube. I mean, those moments were perfectly orchestrated, and it gave Darkseid that feeling of gravitas from his character. So of course that is going to be such a buzz creating, kind of a moment that creates all this new awareness about, the New Gods and people who didn't know, who don't know the lore of it, or who don't know, the vast galactic universes that are in the multiverse. They want to know more about that. They want to see more about that. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. And the very next day, they canceled the movie. So how surreal is that? What kind of a gut punch must that be? Especially, having everything that we talked about last night on the live stream. That's like, what the hell? Like, this is another situation where creators aren't allowed to create at Warner Brothers, as far as I can tell. I mean, I'm not at the studio. I'm not a fly on the wall. So all I can do is use my logic to kind of decide how I formulate my perspective. And I mean, come on. What are y'all doing? This is a dumpster fire, a literal dumpster fire. Where are we going with this stuff? Oh my goodness. Let's take a look at this article. This one is from CBR. CBR is a well-known media website, comic book movies, TVs, all that. Warner Brothers cancels DuVernay's new Gods Wands Aquaman spinoff. I mean, The Trench, that was something that there's definitely a market for it. James Wan is a guru at horror flicks, at suspense, at creating an environment that can unsettle you. And The Trench was a perfectly viable spinoff to your billion-dollar making Aquaman movie. I mean, how many movie slates are we going to clear? How many movie slates are we just going to clear off and be like, nah, we're going to go this way? Ay. Ava DuVernay and Tom King's new Gods in The Trench. And Aquaman spinoff by James Wan will not be moving forward at Warner Brothers. As part of our DC slate, which, I mean, they just showed the slate. Didn't they just show the slate like a month or so ago? And it had these movies on there? Like, somebody help me out here. What am I missing? What am I missing here? This is crazy. This is madness. Oh my goodness. Let's keep going. We thank our partners Ava DuVernay, Tom King, James Wan, and Peter Safran for their time and collaboration during this process, and look forward to our continued partnership with them on other DC stories. The projects will remain in their skillful hands if they were to move forward in the future. Okay, it says, according to Hollywood Reporter, there is the possibility that both New Gods and The Trench could find a second life in the future. However, DC Films currently has a packed schedule over the next several years with The Batman, Black Adam, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Zatanna, and Aquaman 2. And the studio didn't want to tie up the creators while they waited in limbo. Okay, I mean, that's an easy enough excuse to give. On the streaming front, DC also has a slate of series set to debut on HBO Max, including John Cena's Peacemaker, the Batman spinoff focused on the Gotham City Police Department, Green Lantern, and J.J. Abrams' Justice League Dark. Okay. DuVernay and King both responded to the news on Twitter, with DuVernay thanking Ray Porter, who voiced Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Thank you, Ray. You've been nothing but gracious towards me. Appreciate you and the fans who support it, she tweeted. I'm told the studio will be speaking about their recent decision about New Gods characters soon. I hope our paths cross one day, sir. If not in the fourth world, then in another. Which, I mean, that kind of gives you the vibe that maybe, just maybe, Ava DuVernay was looking to have Ray Porter as her Darkseid, which would have been a continuation of the DCEU. The Snyderverse version of it. So that's it. That kind of, I kind of feel like that's where she's going with that. Kind of feel like she's doing that. Okay. Tom King, who was the writer on there with Ava DuVernay, said 2 class acts. Says THR goes on to report that the New Gods film was complicated by Darkseid having such a major presence in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. I thought Justice League wasn't canon. Am I right? I thought Zack Snyder's Justice League was not canon. So why do you care? Why do you care if he was in Justice League? It never happened. Or did it never happen? Okay. That's the only road I see with that. For them to say this, for them to say that it was complicated by Darkseid having such a major presence in the Snyder Cut of Justice League, with DC Films deciding not to feature the villain in such a short amount of time, in such a short amount of time. As for the trenches cancellation, it reportedly came down to the belief that Aquaman 2 was enough for this franchise at the time. Oh, so they're just being cheap. Streaming was considered an option, though the Trench serves as a more standalone story without much of a connection to the larger DC extended universe. And that's that on that. You know, it's either, I mean, I just don't feel like that should matter to them. They clearly are using that as an excuse. I mean, that's clear as day to me. They're clearly using that as an excuse because there's no reason at all that you should be, oh shoot, I'm over here going through the dang chat. There's no reason at all why you should be worried about what happened with anything in Justice League, because it's not canon. It's not canon. Now, like, this was the Hollywood Reporter article that CBR was referencing. They go into a little bit more detail here, I'm assuming. Let's see. So, New Gods, which DuVernay had been developing as a directing vehicle with acclaimed comic book writer Tom King since 2018, would have brought to the screen the comic book characters created by the late and legendary artist Jack Kirby. DuVernay, however, remains in the DC fold and is currently working on the DC series Naomi for the CW. So she's doing TV. I mean, I'm pretty sure she'd rather be doing feature film, but she's doing TV right now. The Trench, meanwhile, was to have been a horror-tinged project spinning out of Aquaman and focused on the group of deadly amphibious creatures seen in the billion-dollar grossing 2018 film. Noah Gardner and Aidan Fitzgerald had written the script, which Juan was developing as a producer with collaborator Peter Safran. Juan, too, remains in the DC fold as he is prepping to shoot Aquaman 2 for the studio later this year. The projects are being shelved, but like many comic characters, could come to life down the road. DC Films, led by Walter Hamada, is leaving the door open to revisit these properties in the future. Okay. DC is currently building an interconnected slate in which projects will feed in and out of the big screen and the small screen, with films such as James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, August 6th, spinning off into the John Cena-led HBO Max series Peacemaker, and Matt Reeves' Batman, March 4th. We already heard all this. Okay, so, you know, it's crazy when these kind of things happen. It's hard to see behind the curtain, but I think with this, it's kind of clear to many people that they're just kind of running like they're trying to like literally cut everything off from anything connected to Zack Snyder, like at the knees right now. Like, this is all happening in what, a 10-day span from when Ann Sarnoff said what she said in that article that she was in, where she just said, we're not going anywhere else with this. We're not doing an Ayer cut. We're not doing this anything at all with, this Justice League. I mean, they're just they're literally trying to cut themselves off from probably the best thing they got going for HBO Max right now. I mean, let's be real. I watched Godzilla vs. Kong, and it was pretty much what I expected. A boring human story that I don't care much for, with great action, with great CGI monster action. I mean, it was fun to watch, but I didn't really have any kind of need to watch it again. I didn't feel like watching it again. I wouldn't probably watch it again unless I'm watching it with somebody who's seen it for the first time. Like, it's just not. It's a single. It's a home run, but it's a one-man home run. You had a grand slam home run with the Justice League. Like, you have that in your hand. Like, they gave you an underhanded pitch to knock that shit out of the park, and you just let it roll past the plate. Strike three. I mean, how many times is there going to be a plan in place that actually, like, they follow all the way through with? Like, they're not following through with anything. Like, this is kind of the third reset, I feel like. Because after BVS, if they tried to make a turn there. Now we bring back Justice League, and now they still really haven't even figured out where they're going to go since then. I mean, Aquaman made $1 billion, which was awesome. But everything that they've released since then has been ho-hum, money-wise and in reception. I mean, Birds of Prey. Anybody? I haven't even seen that. Birds of Prey was nothing special. Shazam, which I thought was okay. I mean, it got high marks, but it didn't make no money. So which one matters more to you? The high marks or the money? It only made like 300 something million. I mean, they literally have the answers to their own problem right in front of them. And they refuse to pay any attention to it. They refuse. They'll be damned. They'll be damned. And here's Jeremy Kirby, who actually tweeted after this was brought, after the news broke, saying the New Gods are an endless trove of amazing characters, stories, adventures, and emotions. From a simple love story to an epic intergalactic slugfest, Darkseid is. And this is the cover of the New Gods, Kirby's Fourth World. Orion on the cover. I mean, legendary stuff. Legendary stuff. Like, it doesn't even need to be a part of the Snyderverse just at all. I mean, if you say it's not, then it's not. But you're just going to ignore it and cancel it. And I mean, what do we have right now? What does the slate even look like right now for DC's movies? We got the Suicide Squad coming. Okay. Flash, hopefully, coming. But I mean, this isn't like, you're not really picking the cream of the crop to work on. You're like, you want to reboot Superman, which, oh my gosh. I'd like to see a proper Superman sequel. I don't think that's too much to ask for. I don't think it is. I mean, I think that you kind of you're in a position right now where you could do that, and it would be a huge thing. You'd make a lot of money on it. It really would. My goodness. My goodness. What do you guys think? Chat, what are you guys thinking? I just can't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's a dumpster fire. They don't know where they want to go. That's clear. That is clear as day. Clear as day. My goodness. All right. Let me see what we got here. Clear as day. And not only that, hold on. just looking through, just going through the just the tweets on Twitter, because this has been trending. This is still trending. I mean, these are these are the things, the moments that were made possible by the new gods. Like, this was the kind of rivalry. This was the kind of epic, just comic book grandness that these characters brought to the scene. And man, people are confused. Okay, here we go. This one's gonna be for those of you who are grown. Y'all will know where this came from. Hold up. Ever DuVernay's New Gods will not be moving forward at the DCEU and Warner Brothers. Kevin Feige.
Any artists out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, and don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the video, all on the record, dancing, come to Death Row.
That's real talk too. Shoot, because that's exactly what's been happening to all of these DC filmmakers. This is what's been happening to them. How many people did The Flash go through? The Flash went through, what, 4 sets of writers, directors? I mean, there's a pattern. There is a pattern here with how they handle themselves. There is definitely a pattern with how Warner Brothers continues to just they just keep doing things and interfering in their own, like they're getting in their own way, like all the time. All the time. I mean, we assume that they didn't get in the way of Aquaman, and it made $1 billion. And is that the best DCEU movie out there? No. Is it good? Yeah, but it's not the best. I've only seen it twice. You know, and then, oh man, and then my boy dropped this. This got him. And this was a little troll. This was a nice little troll from Zach. Granny Goodness. She looked tough too. Like, these are the things that we could have had. This is why we can't have nice things. I mean, come on. This is why we can't have nice things. Because they don't want to listen to what's clearly the most obvious path to take. I mean, look, nobody says it's going to be easy. But damn. People actually want to see this shit. They want to see it. They want to see it. So give the people what they want. What's the problem? Admitting that you were wrong? I mean, hell, every one of us has had to admit we're wrong at something at some point. Shit, a business can do it too. A CEO can do it too. It's a multiverse. It's a multiverse. So why the hell not? I mean, that's what makes sense. That's to me, the consumer, the one who would gladly hand his money over in order to see something like that. I'd give you $50 to watch that movie. You hear me, Warner Brothers? I'd give you $50 to watch that. Double the ticket price. I'd pay it. I'm not saying everybody's going to do that. But I'm saying it's that kind of momentum, that kind of hype, where there are people who would pay more, who don't have a problem paying what it costs, but they'll give you their money. And this is like the new wave right now. This Snyderverse is the new wave. That's what people are itching for. Ain't nobody itching for no Monsterverse. How many more times are you going to show me a movie with entire cities just getting literally decimated? Like Hong Kong, literally gone. Literally, I mean, had to have been millions of casualties. Millions. There's no way they could have evacuated that city in time. There's no way. millions of casualties, you know, CGI, just destruction porn. Like, y'all want to talk about destruction porn? Y'all talk about Man of Steel? No, that Man of Steel has nothing on what they have in Kong versus Godzilla. Nothing. Almost to the point where it was comical. I was just like guessing the numbers. Oh, that's 20,000 in that building. That's 5,000 in that one. Skyscraper's gonna land on people. Oh, that's another 50,000. Yeah, it was going like that. Y'all think that's gonna last? Like, people are gonna keep wanting to see, you know, teenagers sneaking around and shit that there's no way they should have been able to be in those positions anyways? Like, no, come on. We talking about superheroes here. Huh. Granny Goodness looks dope. She looks dope. You can't tell me no different. You can't. Granny Goodness is looking like fire. And I mean, come on now. We know why he dropped this. He just dropped that picture an hour and a half ago. That's easy money. Easy money, Warner Brothers. What are y'all doing? Ha! Things that make you go, You know what I mean? Like, this is all wrong. Like, all right, let me take a look at some of these super chats in here. I know I saw Isaiah Garcia. Let me get back to these. Isaiah sends a, oh wait, that's not him. Hold on. Let me get it. There we go. Isaiah Garcia, $2 says, does this mean the Snyder Cut will happen? You know, I mean, I thought about that for a moment. I did. And, you know, it's not that it's not, that it doesn't mean that. I mean, you could see it that way, but, you know, it just baffles me that the reasoning as to why they canceled New Gods was because of Darkseid being so involved in Justice League. Well, my train of thought is this. If you're making a New Gods movie, it doesn't even have to take place in the same time period as Justice League. It could have taken place 20,000 years ago. It's in a different dimension. So what am I missing here? How is that a viable excuse? It's not even feasible. You can set the timeline however you want as far as it pertains to the New God situation. It could be at the beginning of Darkseid's rise to power, and Highfather leading New Genesis versus Apocalypse. Like, that is the answer to your problem right there. You don't even have to show them in that form that you have in the Justice League. It's crazy. Like, that's an excuse. They made an excuse, and it doesn't make sense. Comic Chat for $2 says Man of Steel 2. Duh. Come on, DC. I mean, yeah, man. You know, look, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. You just gave yourself so much hype around your brand with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and you're not willing to take advantage of that in any way whatsoever. Not in theaters, not on streaming. You don't care. That's cool. We good on that. That's ridiculous. That's ignorant. That's ignorant as hell. That's what that is. My goodness. Ooh, Mikey Gusler. What's up, Mikey? He says, for $5, appreciate you. He says, do you think AT&T will force Warner Media to continue the Snyderverse? They're in charge after all, so why not force them to make more? I think that's a great point. I think that is a great point. I also think that I would say AT&T has shown that they can do that. They did that. They did that for the Snyder Cut. They said, shut up, green light. So we know they can do that. Will they do that all the time? That's a different question, because that means that at the end of the day, they're going to need to fire everybody at Warner Brothers. Which, hey, I don't want anybody to lose their job. But that they gave these people contracts. They gave these people power as higher up execs. So if they're going to continue to undermine their vision, which you have to be realistic, they do have to allow some autonomy there for the business to function. Then it's going to create a situation where they're going to need to just replace the top brass there, which, hey, I'm not against that. I mean, I think that, looking at what they're doing right now with DC Films, now we know that Aquaman made $1 billion, but outside of Aquaman, which Aquaman you can say is a Snyderverse film. They mentioned Steppenwolf. It's a Snyderverse film. So the Snyderverse films have $1 billion in one. They have $873 million in another. They got 600 and I think Man of Steel did like 670 total. Man of Steel in another, and then you have Shazam, which is a Snyderverse movie. Add another 350 there, and then you got 2017, which 2017 got 630. I mean, you broke even, maybe lost 50 million, depending on how. You probably lost 100 on that one, but it was bad. That was on you though. You made that mistake. You fucked that up. You did that. So that's a strike against the higher ups there, as far as Warner is concerned, in my eyes. Not Hamada, because Hamada wasn't there when that happened. But they got an opportunity here. They're really in the beginning stages of all of this, whatever the hell they're trying to do. That begins with really the Suicide Squad. Because we don't know what they're trying to do. We don't know. We don't know where they're going with all this shit. So it's like Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, Supergirl, Flash, everybody but the characters that we really give a damn about. They fumbled Wonder Woman. I'll even admit that. They fumbled that with 1984. They fumbled it. I like Patty Jenkins, but hey, real is real. If that movie would have hit theaters, that shit would have hurt. They're lucky that they can be skeptical, or they can speculate and think about the money they might have got off it by releasing it during Christmas. Because if it was in theaters, the first weekend would have been nice, but we would have seen a drop off. We would have seen an ugly drop off on that one, because it was divisive in the worst kind of way, that it kind of didn't really, it didn't. I get the Silver Age Wonder Woman thing. I've always said that. I feel like that's a Silver Age Wonder Woman, but which was less prone to the more violent warrior attitude. But that's a different argument. But it didn't play to the strengths in Wonder Woman that we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League. The warrior princess. That's what people want to see. And then you add the compassion and the empathy on top of it. But she has to be a warrior. When people are threatening lives, she has to be a warrior. That is what she is. That is what she was bred to be. Compassion comes hand in hand with the sword. That's history. It goes hand in hand. Sometimes ain't no talking to be had. And they let that go. They let that go. So, AT&T, getting back to it, AT&T, at the end of the day, we know they could do that, but I don't think that that's something that they want to have to do repeatedly because it puts them between a rock and a hard place, not only with, the people who are running the Warner, but then they start, that can be a slippery slope. You can start it can be a slippery slope. We got to admit that it can be that way because if it's working for us in the Snyder community because we've been going at it for 4 or 5 years, but who's to say that somebody doesn't start up a campaign, for AT&T to do something, in their line of and on their side of the business that really they're using the blueprint that was used on Warner to try and garner. These are all things they have to think about. These are all things they got to think about. They don't want to appear to just give you actually do want to give your customers what they want, but how much of the business, it can have its autonomy when you have a million other things you got to do. You don't want to have to do that all the time. So let's see here. Oh, we got Ryan Kennel in the chat. Ryan Kennel, RK Outpost. What's up? He says, Ava DuVernay and Tom King are not the right people for this movie. It wouldn't have been in continuity with Snyderverse. I'm happy about this news. And I mean, hey, that's some people weren't necessarily happy about Ava DuVernay getting that movie. It seemed like an odd fit, no lie, but hey, I was interested. I was interested just to see where they would take that story, where they would take that universe, because there's a lot of ways you can go with it. There's a lot of ways. Mikey Gusler for another $5 says, do you think they're working on the Ayer cut right now, but are waiting to announce it to the public? Shame what happened to David Ayer. Man, I don't know. I think that because of the Suicide Squad movie that's coming, it really, I think they want to keep all of the PR on that movie, all of the buzz on that movie. They're not going to put out both movies in anywhere near the same amount of the same time span from when Suicide Squad is supposed to come in August. So really, the Ayer cut is a much easier thing to do than the Snyder cut was, because apparently from what I've seen with David Ayer is that he already had, the movie is done. There's nothing that needs to be, there's no filming that needs to happen. He just needs to edit it, to put together or use his cut, his assembly, the cut that he had together, the final cut he had, and use that and release it. I mean, it's not even like a thing like that, but as far as timing, I can give them a pass on that, because if they were going to do that, then they wouldn't want to do it in the same time frame where where there can be, I guess, confusion between the new Suicide Squad and David Ayers, because it's a multiverse, right? Right, DC, it's a multiverse. It's not a multiverse if you're using one character being in one movie as an excuse to not use them in another. I mean, it's not like you guys were trying to make another Justice League movie, were you? So they're all over the place right now, man. They are really all over the place. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to be a DC fan right now, man. It's hard to be a DC fan, even when I'm generally because of this Snyder cut, I'm happy with, how it's been received and just, kind of enjoying the movie the way I did. I'm happy, but it's just also very frustrating, because it's you see that there is a tangible, measurable desire from the audience, from the population, who is, obviously a very small piece, but it still gives you metrics to work with. There is a lot of desire to see this continue. And if they don't want to let it continue in any way, shape, or form, then it's like you literally are driving by a suitcase full of money and not even not even deciding to take that with you. Like, you're leaving the money on the table. Like, you just... Yeah, I see somebody says Jason Kilar hasn't said anything. Edward, appreciate it. Yeah, he hasn't said anything. I mean, I think that's... I'd rather not hear anything than to hear something I don't want to hear. I think we all can agree to that. Like, Ann Sarnoff came out and said as the head of Warner Media Studios, which is actually Warner Brothers Studios, not, that's as far as the hierarchy goes, that's the equivalent of what used to be Warner Brothers Studios. They took the brothers off. It's Warner Media Studios, and then it's Warner Media, and then it's AT&T. So really, there's just not a clear vision as to like, what is the, I mean, if they're trying to go after this MCU look, this MCU feel, is it just going to be a bunch of disconnected movies? Because, there doesn't appear to be any kind of connection with the movies that have come out as of recent. Like, there doesn't appear to be any, like, Birds of Prey was connected to Suicide Squad. So that's even a Snyderverse movie. Like, where are they going with this? Where are they going with this? Doesn't make any sense. That's even a Snyderverse movie. It's crazy. This is insane. Unbelievable. Oh, man. But do me a favor, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button. Smash that like button. Stomp it. Kick it. Bury it in the ground. Like the world of man with the mother box. Hit that like button. And if you're new to the stream, I am Uche Waneri, your observant lineman. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. I have my second channel, The Ath Geek. That's where I do most of my pop culture, movie reactions, stuff like that. On here, my live stream is my live stream. I just stream about whatever. But it's crazy. It's crazy. We are really, as far as the DC film slate is concerned, it's a bizarro world. It literally is a bizarro world. Because we got no idea what's up and what's down, what's left and what's right. It's all backwards. It's all backwards. Eldon for $20. Appreciate that, Eldon. Appreciate you. Eldon says, you are not wrong. There is no direction. Yeah, you're absolutely right, my friend. There is no direction. I mean, can you even imagine, like, maybe for a second, Kevin Feige was like, holy shit. If they should run with that Snyderverse stuff. Like, for a second, Kevin Feige was like, holy shit, if they run with that Snyder stuff, that's going to be competitive. Like, do you think for maybe until that, maybe from the Thursday when the Snyder cut came out to Monday at like 9 a.m., maybe in between that time there, Disney was kind of wondering and trying to get ready to respond. Maybe they were thinking that Warner was going to say, yeah, we about to bring this Snyderverse back, and or they're going to do some spinoffs for HBO Max or something of that nature, something to expand on and to take advantage of that momentum that they had after the movie came out. Maybe for like maybe they were thinking about that. And then as soon as the first article comes out, post Snyder Cut on the Monday, and Ann Sarnoff had that interview, it was probably hilarious. I mean, I literally can imagine that meme of all the old guys like standing in the circle just laughing like, like they really might have been worried for just a moment. And then Warner opened their mouths and started talking and telling what the plan was. And then they just bust out laughing. They're like, oh, hell no. Hell no. They're just about to let all that go? All right, cool. Y'all keep that. Ew, shoot, we good. Hey, the Eternals, keep it going. We got them. We got them. They're not even paying attention to the signs. We good. Just keep cruising. Keep cruising. They'll watch our shows. They actually outperformed the Winter Soldier, what's it called? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They outperformed it. HBO Max, head to head. And this is with a 4-hour movie. A 4-hour movie, folks. I mean, it's the first time you actually beat Marvel in something. It's the first time you actually beat them. And you good with that. Nah, we good. We about to do this, J.J. Abrams reboot. We about to do this James Gunn Suicide Squad. You know what I mean? We got, we're going to have Supergirl coming down the pipeline soon enough. You know what I mean? Like that's what Warner Brothers was talking about after they just literally just hit gold, just struck gold with the Snyder Cut. Like they literally struck gold. Like, complete new interest in seeing more of that world, like on a level that you wanted it to be when you dropped that bullshit in 2017. Like you wanted it to be when you started running the DCEU. I mean, y'all didn't get the picture then, but you wanted the kind of buzz that you just got. You've been wanting that. Nah, we good. We got something else we're gonna work on. Louis Tully. For $2.99 says, let's get that Ayer cut. Yeah, man, I am for the Ayer cut all the way because at the end of the day, when you interfere with like movies the way they did, I mean, come on, man, y'all let a trailer company put the movie together. A movie trailer company, like it was like watching a music video. Half of the movie, I'm like, what the hell is this? And the tone that we got with the first trailer that David Ayer dropped during Comic-Con after the BVS trailer, that tone was like, that was some real deal kind of slightly suspenseful, slightly like, very little bit of drama in the, I mean, it was a good trailer. It was a really good trailer. And then they butchered it. They changed it before it came out. I mean, damn. Oh my goodness. You just can't do that to your creators. You can't do that to your creators. And that was for me, like seeing how they literally have done each of the people who have made their DC movies. Like they did Zack Snyder dirty. They did David Ayer dirty. They did only person they didn't get was James Wan and what's his name from Shazam. And that's, obviously, for those were easier films to make comparatively. But it's crazy. It's really crazy that they really blew this. They're really blowing it. They blowing it. I mean, Okay, let's see. Somebody's talking about Bloodsport. Leak came out yesterday on Twitter for TSS and said Cavill does cameo. Does cameo in where's that? Damn, it moved. Oh, cameo in Bloodsport story. Okay, got you. Yeah, I mean, if that's, I mean, look, did they sign Henry Cavill to do like some cameos and shit? Didn't they Incredible Hulk him? Isn't that what happened? Ooh. Let me see here. Dismantled. Hate to see a good company like DC be dismantled by bad management. That alone. Oh, that a-hole that ran into the ground, did it over 10 years, piece by piece, and he got paid for it. Sad. Yeah, man. Look, it's one of the things that I just continue to find just fascinating about this whole thing is that DC this entire time, well, not DC, Warner Brothers this entire time, as the owners of DC, as the owners of all these amazing intellectual properties, of these amazing characters, has done nothing but try to follow in the footsteps of a company that has characters that are literally ripped off of the ones that they own. These guys literally have been trying to cling to the coattails of what the MCU did with their style of filmmaking. When look, that's a Disney-owned company. We know where all their boundaries are. We know exactly what they're aiming for, and we just do more than that. That's what it's supposed to be with WB. WB is supposed to do more than that. They're supposed to go further than that. They're supposed to be edgier than that. They're supposed to be more creative than that. Director driven. And yet they just continue to try to follow instead of leading the way. That's what I can't understand. And it doesn't matter how people feel about what New Gods was going to be. Like, you don't know until it's out. Everything outside of that is just speculation. You don't know until you know. But the idea of it is one that I can vibe with. As long as it pays proper homage to the lore without, and keeps the essence. I just want the essence of the story and the characters to be there. There can be bells and whistles added. There can be things moved around, but keep the essence. That's how I always felt about any director's vision. Like, when it comes to these kind of characters, when it comes to comic book movies, like, one of the reasons why I was such a big fan with the DCEU is because I feel like it keeps the essence of the characters. The characters in the DC are a more serious type. Yes, they have their campy versions that are based on slightly over too on the nose kind of principles that really are not are much harder to stand, to consistently uphold yourself to in a real world. But the essence of those characters is always about reaching for that those principles, not necessarily gaining them and not necessarily understanding all the way through, but finding the strength in themselves to strive to be those symbols. And I feel like now, as we all see, that's kind of where the DCU was. That's what they were trying to do, and people want to see more of that. So you gotta. It's just crazy. It's crazy that there's no. We live in a society where honor is a distant memory. That's what I feel is kind of missing. Like, that's what's missing here, and that's why they can't get it right, because they can't make their minds up and follow and finish what they start. They just keep course correcting, left turning, zigzagging. The Flash movie should already came out. It's crazy. Nonsense. Poppycock. And like I said, I watched Kong. I watched it. That's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's a movie that you watch in theaters. That's no doubt for sure. But I feel like that you can't run. There's no 10-year plan with Kong movies. Yeah, this is like what, the third one? You had Godzilla King of the Monsters, you had Kong Skull Island, and then you had this one as the third one. But I mean, where you go from here? I mean, the stories can only get wackier. They can only get more zany, right? I mean, but that's going to get old. That is just people are going to lose interest in that. People want stories that can continue and evolve and become and set, set different landmarks within the story arcs that lead into, that take it to its conclusion. And then, with DC, you have the unique ability to just reset all that shit. Like, you got the Flash, so you can just you can restart it up. And you got a multiverse, so you don't have to stick to one version. You can have it both. You can have it all. You can have it all. You can, if you want it. Anyways, what's up with you guys? I'm done ranting and raving. What do you guys? How do you guys feel about this? Let me know in the chat. You guys have been great. You guys have been active. I love it. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you smash that like button. We're at 92 likes, but there's 103 of you in the live stream. Let's go. Come on, do it. Oh man, it's hard being a DC fan. It really is hard. I mean, we can't keep going to Nolan and talking about the Dark Knight trilogy when it comes to the movie scene, when it comes to the theatrical scene. So, we see now. People are seeing it now. They're seeing what everything was about with the DCEU, and they want more of that. Now we can talk, because we got this. Now people can see clearly that this was really about some dope shit, and we just let it slide by because people's egos couldn't get out the way. Couldn't get their egos out the way and make a decision and stand behind what you told your directors, that this would be director driven and you guys would be allowed to create. You couldn't even stand behind that. So it's put you in this position now. That's what it's done. Now you're in this position because of that. And you got a chance to actually fix it. Like, how many opportunities? This is almost like going back in time. It's literally like going back in time. They could actually fix their mistakes and truly move forward with of course, yeah, you've got things that are already in the works, but they can fit in there too. You can find a place for them. Everybody just needs to work together to make that happen. That's where the connections should be at. How do we work together to make all of these things fit? Nothing is being considered over the other, but we see that people want to see this universe continue. Let's try and make it work. Ay. It's crazy. I'm telling you. I don't understand it, to be honest. Let's see here. Imagine being on your deathbed and you hear your grandson say that they're restoring the Snyderverse. That would be no. Oh, that would be rough. Eldon for $20. Eldon says, appreciate that $20. Eldon says, a multiverse where continuity matters. Dude, have you become my spirit animal? This is important. After reading Batman and Justice League for 20 years, start working together. Stop hating us. Exactly. Oh my goodness. How did I almost forget about this? And Sarnoff called Snyder fandom. Now, okay. Let's be clear in how we understand this. As I recall it, in the article, she said that part of the fandom that is passionate is, I'm sorry, let's replace the word passionate, as they said there's part of the Snyder fandom that is toxic. You know what? Let's pull up the article. Let's pull it up. I'll pull it up real quick. Just so we can be accurate. So we can be accurate. Let's see here. Da-dum, da-dum. All right. Let's see. Variety. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. So here we are. Out of here. There's also, and part of this is the question. The question is leading. I will say that, because for the interviewer here, and let's who is the interviewer? Let's find out real quickly, so I know who I'm talking about. Brent Lang. Okay, Brent. I think that this question was quite leading, because you say there's also been a toxic side to the fandom, with reports that critics and some of your executives have received threats for not endorsing the Snyder Cut or being perceived as standing in the way of its release. What's your reaction to that behavior? And of course, she says we're not tolerating any of that. We all know about how this comment. She says that behavior is reprehensible no matter what the franchise you're talking about or what business you're talking about. It's completely unacceptable and very disappointed in the fans that have chosen to go the negative place with regard to DC, with regard to some of our executives. It's just disappointing because we want this to be a safe place. We want this to be a safe place to. We want this to be a safe place to be. Okay, a little bit of a tongue twister. We want DC to be a fandom that feels safe and inclusive. We want people to be able to speak up for the things they love, but we don't want it to be a culture of canceling things that any small faction isn't happy with. We are not about that. We're about positivity and celebration. Okay, so the problem that I have with this statement is that she is being led to speak out against something that, yes, I think it's pretty obvious. I think that everyone can agree that you don't want people to cross lines when you're dealing with, people who are just doing their jobs. I think that everybody is kind of on the same page with that. I think we all understand that. But we also understand that there will always be some asshole. There will always be some asshole who goes too far and does too much and acts too butthurt. We all know that. So, being is that there were people in a very, very small few. I don't even know who they were. Because I love the movement, but I don't go that far with stuff. I don't go and harass, movie executives. There's one that I poke fun at, Jeff with a J, but I don't think he's a movie executive anymore. He's a TV executive. But I don't do that. So I never really, I didn't hear about those things happening because it's not that deep. It is still a movie. I would love to see it. I would love for the story to continue. I love all the aspects of it. But at the end of the day, I know that there are people who are just doing their jobs. And you can't lash out at them. That's just childish. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make, you might poke fun from a distance in the Twitterverse, but you don't go over and start making threats. That's just stupid. Who does that? Not nobody. No smart person, no person who's grown does that. That we know that. Well, now I won't say no person that's grown, because there are grown people who act like assholes just as much online. But people do it because they know there's that barrier there, so they can do it and disappear into the shadows as some anonymous account. But people who actually are not total assholes don't do those things. You just don't. So, for me, I felt like the response to this, if you're going to respond to this with this statement, you got to also make it known that that is only a small portion of the greater fan base, the greater hardcore fan base, because the hardcore fan base will bitch about it amongst each other in our circle, and we'll complain, but we're not going to come threaten you. You know, we're not going to come threaten, Ann Sarnoff or anybody. And I would never, no, it's not, that's just not something that comes into my mind and most people's minds, but there's a small percentage that will. So I think you got to show that you have you have to show the self-awareness to also understand that and make it known that you understand that, because this person's asking you a question trying to lead you into just speaking on the toxic side. When, at the end of the day, there is a reason why you released the movie. There is a reason why you released it. Your HBO Max service definitely fucking needed it. And it would garner you goodwill with the fan base that has largely been in support of it. And the hype behind it was, you had more hype behind Zack Snyder's Justice League than you did with Godzilla vs. Kong, because the Snyder fandom helped him hype it up. You didn't. Warner Media didn't. They didn't hype shit up. That was all Zack, the community, and HBO Max. And HBO Max was just retweeting, like they weren't like, it wasn't like commercials and, well, not until we got closer to it, but, it was just that kind of thing. Like the community had a big part of the buzz, and those people aren't toxic. The majority of those people are not toxic at all. They just really love, they love what they love. They love the movies. And now you've got even a wider net now, because more people love the movie. More people are interested in it now who would have never even watched it before. So you actually broadened your audience. You widened it. Like, these are things that you want in a business. As a business, that's what you want. That's exactly what you want. And if that's what causes it, you keep doing that. Somehow doubt that Suicide Squad is going to bring in a whole new demographic, or a substantial grow in the demographics, in the numbers for audience. I doubt that. I really do. Because at the end of the day, everything that James Gunn does that involves a superhero movie in dealing with a group of characters is only going to be compared to Guardians of the Galaxy. That's it. And if it's not as good as Guardians of the Galaxy, then it's not good. And that's how they're going to play it. I guarantee you. As if that movie is not as good or better than Guardians of the Galaxy, then it will be considered not great. Not fresh. I hope it does well. I really do. I'm interested. But I mean, I wasn't hyped when I saw it. I mean, Harley Quinn is really like the only like if that was a comic book, because Suicide Squad has many different members that rotate in and out of it. So if I was at a comic book store and I saw that Suicide Squad on the cover, I wouldn't get it. If I saw the Suicide Squad that David Ayer had, I would probably pick that up. I would probably pick that up because you got Deadshot, you got Harley, you got Joker, in the real cut. You got Joker, you got Slipknot, you got Rick Flag, you got who else? You got Captain Boomerang, you got Killer Croc. I mean, you got a couple of big characters from Batman's Rogues Gallery. So I mean, yeah, I'm gonna read that comic. I'm gonna read that one. So it is what it is. But come on, man. Sometimes you got to read the room. Woo. Eldon for another $5. Eldon, man, appreciate you very much. You've been showing some love. I appreciate that. He says, I was out camping in the Badlands, South Dakota, and found Signal to watch the Snyder Cut because it mattered to me. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, these are the things that they could be propping up and saying, see, we listened to the fans. We heard your voice. They could be saying that. They could be. And it would make them look better and better and better. It would make them look better. It really would make them look better. People would think, hey, Warner's doing it. Okay. They doing it. They hearing it. And that would probably get people to buy into more properties with Warner Media that they probably wouldn't buy into in the past. That's called getting good, that's called polishing your image. And, they had that. They had that opportunity. I think J.J. Abrams is coming with, his movies that he's going to do. And if they do, I'm not saying that this Superman reboot can't be good. It can be good. But it's just, as a matter of principle, it's just sad that we've been waiting since 2013 for a proper Man of Steel sequel. And we had a Superman who everyone is pretty much a consensus, given, an adequate amount of improvement coming off of the Snyderverse, coming off of his arc to find himself as Superman, that a sequel would be absolutely welcome and would have an amazing chance because he is considered by many the definitive Superman, of this era. Like, Christopher Reeves, I don't really look at him. I'll accept he's in a different league as far as the kind of pedestal that he is put on, and how that is really part of a lot of people's childhoods. I'm fine with that. But to me, because I didn't grow up in that time with Christopher Reeves, and I didn't like Christopher Reeves that much because I was a Batman fan. And to me, I felt like Superman was cheesy when I saw those movies. I'm like, I mean, what? Why is he such a goofball? Like, what? Like, but I understand where the love for that character comes from, because he does embody a version of Superman that is the purest, most humble, most affectionate version, that you'll see in pop culture. That is true. But I prefer Henry Cavill. I really do. I prefer him. So, that's just the way it is. I mean, they can make a good Superman movie if they're using a different Superman from a different multiverse, and I will be fine with that. But they need to give us a proper Man of Steel sequel. They're going to have to. I mean, they don't have to, but I mean, it would be great if you could, Warner Brothers. Jeez. My goodness. Anyways, it was just it was weird to hear about these movies. The Trench, and I know I haven't talked much about The Trench, but we didn't really know much about The Trench or New Gods for that matter. But New Gods definitely was something that piqued a lot, that piqued people's ears. And I know that some people didn't, some people are not generally, some people weren't excited about New Gods because, they look at Ava DuVernay's filmography and, maybe they're not fans of her movies. That's fine. But, that was one that I had a definite interest in because I want to hear about this story. And if she's working with somebody who's in the comic industry and and at least can help her understand how the story unfolds and how the stories connect, then, let's give her a chance and see how it comes out. If it doesn't come out well, then we'll know rather quickly. But they gave it to her. They gave her the green light to work on it. And, I wanted to see. The Trench, we heard that was almost immediately announced. Like almost, was it? I think it was like within like a year they announced The Trench, or they announced that they were going to be doing a spinoff. Like that was coming pretty much after Aquaman came out. So there was a real, there was something real there that was supposed to be brought in by somebody who's obviously an expert in that field and making, tense, suspenseful movies. So just a shame. But, yeah, you know what? I think that, we pretty much, gone through the meat of it, gone through most of the things that I wanted to talk about. I really do appreciate everybody for being in here on the stream. Make sure you smash that like button, share this. share this around so we can get this propped up. You know, I'm seeing the momentum build on this channel. So I'm going to keep doing as much live streaming as I can. And it'll be different topics every now and again. It won't always be the same kind of stuff. But let me know what you guys want to hear about. That's also something that I would love, just some feedback from you guys. Go into the community tab on this channel or check out my AthGeek channel, and, you know, pop in there on the community tab and let me know what you guys want me to talk about. Let me know if there's stories that break that maybe I didn't see. And you can let me know so we can hop on here and chop it up. You know, find me on Twitter. You can see all my tags over on to the side of the screen there. Got the AthGeek on Twitch. I'll be doing some live streaming. I think I'm going to do the Outriders. I think I'm going to start doing Outriders on there. So go and subscribe or go and follow me on Twitch. You know, under that, you got my Twitter. And obviously, hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already with this one. But I do appreciate you guys very much for being in here. I'm about to get up out of here. So until next time, #restore the Snyderverse. And I will see y'all